Welcome to the My Business Podcast, where we sit down with local businesses and we talk about who they are, where they come from, and what inspires them to be in business.
Welcome to the My Business Podcast. I'm your host, Rob Verhoeve, and I've got with me today Greg Merrett from Purify Air Cleaning. How are you, Greg?
Good, Rob. Yourself?
Excellent. Thanks for coming in. I've got so many questions today about air conditioners and cleaning, and I'm really looking forward to this. But first, just tell us a bit about yourself and Purify Air Cleaning.
Okay, so, I've been doing this for 5 years now.
Yep.
I took over another company on the national basis, about 5 years ago, and we only had 6 franchisees back then.
Yep.
And now we've moved up to 24, and we're heading,
quite the
north
expansion.
still. It is good.
And whereabouts do you cover?
Basically everywhere in Australia except Victoria at this stage.
At this stage, I like
yes.
the way you say that. Planning for expansion there. Yeah, that's good.
But like in Queensland, we're from basically the border at Burleigh right through to Townsville.
Yep.
We've got 5 guys in Perth.
Wow.
And down to Mandurah. New guy in Adelaide.
Yep.
Who's doing really well. New guy in Canberra, actually, who's doing really well. And a couple of guys in Sydney.
So you've certainly got your tentacles out there in the air conditioning cleaning. Yeah.
We're getting there.
So I know it's called Purify Air Cleaning, but you do more than just the aircon cleaning as well, don't you? There's a few other services.
Oh, yeah. So, I mean, aircon cleaning is our core business. Yep. A couple of our guys are fridgies, so they also do installs and repairs. We also do mould mediation.
Okay.
Which is looking after surface mould and spot mould, like, in your bathroom,
yep.
Around the cornices, whatever.
Yep.
We can remove that and kill it so it doesn't come back. We do fogging, which is part of our mould process.
Yep.
But also there's quite a prevalence of COVID around these days.
Yep.
Everyone seems to have forgotten about COVID.
Yeah, we'll talk about a few of these things in a moment, because there really is more to air conditioning than what just switching on the switch in the morning, isn't it?
Oh, that's it. Yeah, look, it's about maintaining a clean and healthy aircon because it's the air that you breathe. 90% of our time is spent indoors, breathing air conditioned air normally, whether it's at home or at the office, even at the movies.
That's exactly right. As I said, I've got a heap of questions in my head that have been swirling around since I knew you were going to come in. Because one of the things that you hear a lot about is a deep clean of your aircon. What does that actually mean?
Okay, so there's a couple of different types of cleans. Our main focus is what we call a deep clean.
Yep.
So that basically means we take the covers off and we wash them separately outside because they will have dirt and mould on them.
Yep.
And you can't do a proper clean without taking off the covers.
Yep.
We then treat and physically scrub all the internal components of the unit. So that's your fans, your coils, up behind the fans. And then we give that a good flush, like a light pressure wash, which goes into a bag, so there's no mess. Then we sanitise the whole unit.
Yep.
All of the insides, the covers and the filters. Put it all back together and test it. And we also check the outside unit. So that's your coil to make sure that's clean, isn't full of dog hair or grass clippings, whatever. Yeah. And we also can replace the insulation on the copper pipes outside, because you don't want hot sun on cold pipes, and the reverse in winter. It really makes it inefficient.
Because I'm guessing there are a lot of people who think they can clean their air conditioner themselves.
There are.
and from what you've just explained there, like, I would get a wet rag and just wipe it and think I've done a good job.
Well, you're not Robinson Crusoe. A few people try that.
Yep.
And frankly, we often get the wives giving us a call saying, look, hubby tried to do something on the weekend and he's probably made it worse.
You've spoken to my wife.
Yeah, well.
Yeah, sounds like it. So, I mean, I guess the moral to that story is, there is so much more to it that you need to get the professional.
It's not just a wipe over. It's not just a bit of Glen 20 shoved in there sort of thing. There's a lot more to it than that.
Why is mould so prevalent in air conditioning?
Okay, so mould needs a few basics to exist. Yep. One of them is moisture, heat, and light. So when you turn off an aircon, say in summer, and Queensland in particular because it's so humid, but any states can have mould in their aircons. Basically, it's quite wet inside. So when you turn the unit off, that moisture stays in there.
Yep.
And then the ambient temperature comes back up because you've turned the aircon off.
Of course.
So you've got this nice, moist, warm And then if there's a bit of dirt in there or dust,
Yep.
that's perfect for mould to form.
That's the perfect storm.
And then bingo, you've got this big outbreak of mould in your aircon. And then when you turn the aircon on, that then spreads the mould spores through the room, through the house, through the office, whatever.
And of course, the health implications of that can be really dramatic, can't they?
Oh, it can. The classic is when someone says, look, my aircon's full of mould, and I just discovered it.
Yep.
And they've been sleeping under it for 3 years and wondering why they're coughing, why they've got an itch in the throat, why their brain's a bit foggy, why they just seem to have an ongoing cold or something like that. These are all symptoms of poor quality air that the people are breathing due to their aircon.
I guess when you think of that, just eliminating the mould in that will have a wide range of effects. Like, you're not going to be ill, so you work, you can continue to go to work. But in an office space, if you've got a mouldy air conditioner, you're going to be losing people from work as well, won't you?
Well, that's it. And that's one of the hidden costs, frankly, of not cleaning your aircon. It's sort of like not servicing a car and then the engine blows a head gasket because you never put oil in it, sort of thing.
Yeah, save yourself $100 every 6 months, but
so it's a false economy.
That's right.
And especially in a work environment, schools, kindergartens are a classic.
Yep.
You've got dozens of little kids running around all with runny noses.
Yep.
And Tommy gets it. Next minute, the whole class has got it, and the teachers.
Yep.
The same at schools, in offices, and that's I was coming back to COVID and. It's not just mould, it's bacteria that thrive in these conditions. So unless it's regularly sanitised, these are the risks you run, and lost hours of work because staff are sick, and
that's right.
Goes on and on.
Does it affect your energy bills as well?
It can do dramatically. So if you've got a dirty aircon, I've cleaned aircons where there's hardly any air coming out of them because the fan is so dirty. And the filters are like pulling off a carpet.
Gotcha.
Okay?
Yep.
So there's no air getting into the unit. So it's trying to work really hard to get it down to 18 degrees, 22 degrees, whatever you want to set it at. And if it can't get the air, then it's working overtime trying to make that happen. So that therefore uses a lot more energy, sends your power bills through the roof. But it can also affect the longevity of the unit. So it's like, just wearing out an engine. The same deal. If your fan is trying to spin and throw out air and it's just clogged up, that's going to shorten, the lifespan of the unit, and that could be a $2,000 to $3,000 replacement.
So you don't even think of these things when you think about air conditioning.
No.
You think just set and forget, but it really does.
Until you smell it, or you're sick of that cough or whatever it is, and then you go, oh my God, what's happened there?
Yeah.
Then it becomes urgent, and you want to try and avoid that being urgent.
And we've touched on how important it is to get a professional clean. But in your recommendations, what are the key reasons for getting the professional clean?
Well, we don't just turn up with a mop and a bucket.
Yep.
And look, we do see that.
Yep.
That's in every industry, I suppose. We're a national company. We're a national brand. All our guys are fully insured. They're properly trained. They're in uniform. They're polite. They're prompt. All the aspects that you should have from a good service. But we know how to get in and get the bits that you can't reach at the back. And then to be able to sanitise it so you're good to go for the next 12 months.
So you do residential properties as well as commercial?
Yes, absolutely.
And like for people that have, like I'll just use myself for an example. I've got a couple of units at home. Does it become cheaper if you have multiple units?
Oh, definitely, yes.
Yep, so you should just get them all done at the same time.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, and look, you can, we don't actually set prices as a company. We let our individual guys do that, and that way they meet the market.
Yep.
Too many companies just have this price up here somewhere, and it's not really relative to the demographic that area is in.
I guess in the supply and demand as the year moves on as well, isn't it?
Correct. So, look, summer's obviously quite busy.
Yep.
But with the cool weather now, this winter in particular seems to be colder than last, or maybe I'm just getting older, I don't know. But people are using their air cons for heating a lot more. And you've got the same mould, the same bacteria in there, except now it's getting warmed up and spreading through the room.
And does that spread it quicker?
Not necessarily, but you can certainly smell it quicker.
Yep.
It's like, you've overcooked the cake.
Oh, is that? Oh, okay.
You know
I'll
what I
have
mean?
to keep in mind that. Yeah, I mean, we're sitting here on the Gold Coast. I think it's about 22 degrees outside at the moment, but it gets quite cool overnight. But our friends in the the southern states in Adelaide or Victoria, when certainly you're going to be moving into that market?
Got down to 0 this morning in Ipswich.
Did it really?
Yeah, and Canberra's -2 on a regular basis.
Wow.
Yeah.
There's another reason not to live in Ipswich.
I'm not going there.
Well, I think a good Ipswich joke every night. No, I love our friends out of Ipswich. But yeah, no, it gets really chilly out there. So that's why these are really important.
Yep.
You talked before about the mould mediation. So getting in there and being proactive with that kind of stuff. It's obviously that's going to reduce the amount of mould in your conditioners as well. In your
Correct. So the mould is in most aircons, certainly most used aircons. However, mould obviously appears in homes. We've had some very wet years in all parts of Australia, actually, and that has certainly created mould issues, and it affects people's health in a very negative way sometimes. So to be able to get on top of mould is very important for your health and for your family and for your workers. Yeah. So we have a 2-part process that deals with that. And we give a 12-month guarantee on all our mould treatments.
That's fantastic. One thing you said before, and it's something I've heard in air conditioning before about fogging. What is fogging?
Okay, fogging. So fogging is like a little machine that spreads a mist. I suppose it's a very fine mist. And what that does, it creates literally like a fog when we're finished.
Yep.
So we shut the whole house up, windows, doors, everything, shut it all up, fog each room, and especially contaminated areas that have been contaminated with mould. And then we let it sit for about 20 minutes, and that mist then gets in and around all bits of furniture, behind beds, under beds, etc., and kills the mould on contact. Yep. And what it does, the product, it actually bonds to surfaces, hard or soft furnitures.
Yep.
Even beds, doesn't matter, curtains. And it bonds to that, so it kills the mould on the surface, but also creates a barrier. So when new mould can form because of poor ventilation or too much moisture in the air, it will also kill that as it lands on that surface.
Makes sense.
It's an amazing product, and it actually just comes up from just near Bribie.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's a local product as well.
It is.
That's fantastic.
Mm.
With COVID, we're all going to the football again, and we're all out and about again. But it's as important now as it was 2 years ago, isn't it, to make sure that you've got all this stuff right to stop the spread of COVID?
Look, people have sort of forgotten about COVID a bit, or wanted to forget about COVID maybe.
Yep.
But the fact is, it's still out there, and it's just as prevalent as it's ever been. Yes, we're all vaccinated, so maybe not many people are dying as such, but I know of 2 cases in the last 2 weeks of people who have died from COVID.
Oh, wow.
And I know 4 people personally who've currently got COVID.
Yep.
So it's not going anywhere. It's a bit like the flu. I think it's here to stay.
I think you're right there without being a doctor, but it's something that we've got to keep in mind. So keeping your air conditioning clean is going to help prevent.
Yep. And it's not just splits; it's ducteds.
Yep.
Cassette units, box units, whatever
it is.
And when you get illness in the office, that can really affect not only the morale and the profit of the business, but it can actually then spread it to their families when they go home, etc. So it's really important to be able to sanitise the office or the home, and that's what the fogging does, because it actually kills COVID-19.
That's fantastic to know. To book, we've got the website purifyairconcleaning.com.au. Obviously, you can go there.
Yep.
But how else can people book to get a service?
So all our guys and girls, actually, we've got a girl in Brisbane South, Lackery. She's doing really well.
Yep.
So they just need to go. They can go on Facebook.
Yep.
They can go online. We've got a 1300 number, or something a bit unique with our franchise compared to others. You can actually ring the franchisee direct.
Wow.
Yes.
So they'll take your call and book you in their
They
diary
will.
themselves.
Yep.
That's a really good part. I mean, service is the difference, because there's lots of people out there that clean air conditioning.
Yeah, look, I have a slightly different philosophy on franchising perhaps, but we believe that if you've bought a business, then they're your customers. Yeah. So you should be able to communicate with your customers, not just have to go through a 1300 number.
Okay, so you talked about franchising at the start, and you've gone from 6 franchisees to 24 now, which is a fantastic growth. And obviously, if somebody's in Victoria and wants to talk to you about it, they should give you a buzz as well.
Actually, I got an inquiry through at 10 o'clock last night from Victoria, so I'll follow them up today.
Fantastic. But Having said that, talk to us about what it is like to be a franchisee for a company like yours.
Okay, so frankly, not everyone is suited to franchising.
Yep.
And that's okay. Some people are very happy just doing their jobs, getting paid, going home at the end of the day, etc. And that's cool. We've all been there. We can all relate.
Absolutely.
However, some of us just aren't satisfied with that and with the level of pay that we achieve and can achieve in the future. So it comes down to working for yourself. A lot of people own their own businesses, but there's a fundamental difference between owning a business and owning a franchise.
What's the difference?
With a franchise, you're in business for yourself, but not by yourself.
Ah, okay, yeah.
Okay, whereas, if you own a corner shop, you're it. So with a franchise, you get all of the support.
Yep.
The branding that comes with it, the IP that comes with it, the marketing, uniforms, all the bits,
all the stuff, yeah.
All the stuff, plus a call centre.
Yep.
However, it doesn't mean you can just sit on the couch and wait for the phone to ring. That's not how it works.
Yep.
So you need to have a little bit of an entrepreneurial spirit about you. You've got to be motivated. You've got to want a lifestyle that is flexible, but you've got to also be flexible with it.
That's right. Yep, I understand.
So it means if you want to take the kids to school, you can. But if you might have to do the odd Saturday morning, then that's life.
And that's the payoff.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. But you can also work around clients, and clients are normally very open to being working around. So as long as it's a mutually agreed and suitable arrangement, that's great. Yeah. That's what it's about.
So with someone who wants to become a franchisee in Purify Aircon, what kind of experience do they need?
Well, they actually don't need any experience. I'm a chef by trade, and obviously I'd never cleaned an aircon in my life until I did.
Yep.
And now I've probably cleaned thousands of them.
Yeah.
So the franchise comes with 5 days of training.
Yep.
And that's, sort of sit around a table for a couple of days talking about business and how to work a franchise, etc. But it's also about hands-on experience. We actually go out prospecting with you.
Yep.
So you realise that people are actually quite nice out there. They're not going to bite your head off just because you knocked on their door. And it's a great way of introducing yourself to the local community. We also encourage our franchisees to join a local networking group.
Yep. Very important.
It is. And there you go, instant network, which might take you years to develop on your own.
That's right.
We even put some money towards the cost of doing some artwork on your car or your ute or whatever your vehicle you want to use. Now, if you're a Friggie, that's a bonus.
Yeah, that's what instigated my question, because you talked about you had 3 or 4 of your franchisees with Friggies.
Correct.
So
they can install as well. So they've got a few more.
So you've got a few more strings to the bow that they can offer as well, which I guess is great for the overall business for yourself as well, to have those kind of people.
And look, traditionally, aircon installation businesses don't do so much on the cleaning side because they're not set up for it.
Because
it's not their specialty.
If they did, that would be something they'd be talking to you about at the time they're installing it.
Correct.
Do you know what I mean?
And some do, but most don't.
I can tell you now, the ones I've had installed at my place have never spoken about it, and it took me. And sadly, I've got family in Victoria who are in the air conditioning business who said to me, "Well, you've got to get it clean." And I was like, "Oh, okay, no worries." Yep. So it's something that until you're wary of that, you just leave it and set it.
Correct. Yeah. So that's what we do, is we specialise in the cleaning side of it.
So basically, anyone who's willing to give it a go and someone that really is driven to make a success of themselves could end up being a franchisee cleaning air conditioners.
Correct. Yeah, look, it's not a big investment. It's under 25 grand including GST.
That's not bad, is it?
It's pretty good.
And so the expansion for you guys, where to from here? I mean, obviously you'd love to get your feet in Victoria as well, and then be a truly national. Yeah,
look, my goal is to get us to 50.
Yep.
Most of our sort of larger opposition are around that figure, some are a little bit higher. So there's certainly scope to do that. And look, if you can clean over 1,000 aircons a year, that's a pretty good year.
Yep.
But you think about how many aircons are in Australia, you probably have 200 guys. So, it's just...
I'm trying to do the math. We're talking big numbers. Like when you consider every house nowadays generally has at least one air conditioner.
Well, at least. I mean, we've got 6 at our house.
6?
Yeah, that's not uncommon. And, you know, you go up further north, you know, every house has 5 or 6. It's just the way it is.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
I've got family in Townsville as well.
Oh, yeah.
I could make some Townsville jokes if we wanted, but we won't because the people of Townsville are lovely. Just not my family. They're all mad. Sorry, I've done it again. Okay, so look, we've spent, like, already our time is flown. So I guess what we want to get across to people today, firstly, is, you know, it is important to get your air conditions professionally cleaned.
Yes.
There's nothing more important than that. But also, too, that your podcast today has been a little bit different because it has actually brought in 2 elements of your business. One is cleaning the air conditioners, but also the opportunity for people that today know very little about air conditioning, that they could be running their own business.
They could be.
How quickly would it take them to start?
From initial contact, it's about 5 weeks.
It's not bad, is it?
Yeah.
And now's the time if you want to cash in on the time when
Well, I mean,
by the end of the year you'll be up and running.
We're about to head into winter, and which means, you know, not too far away you get spring and summer. So it's probably not a bad idea to think about it at this time, and heading towards the summer months, and away you go.
Finally, if someone wants to join the franchise team, how do they do that?
Look, they can call me directly, or the best way is through our webpage, which is our Join the Team page, and that has some testimonials and examples of guys that have joined the business, and there's a little sort of section you can fill in there, and we'll come straight back to you with a phone call.
And that's just on the same webpage as if someone was going to get their air
you
conditioner
can either
cleaned?
book a job or you can book an interview for a franchise. Your call.
That's fantastic. Nice and easy for someone to do.
Yeah, simple. Yep, and we'll come straight back to you.
Well, I'm glad to have met you because you're now my official air conditioning cleaner.
Aircon guy.
Yep, which is always good to have. I've got your number. You better watch out. Thanks very much for your time, Greg, and look forward to speaking to you soon.
Pleasure. Thanks, Rob, for having me.
Excellent.
Cheers.